I really don't like that, we have to do this every day for a week and then I get this. I really want to find a way to enjoy the every day for a week, not just the this. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about lazy girl habits.
I'd like to preface this by saying most of us aren't lazy. I felt that way my entire life and now I'm waiting for an ADHD assessment. I'm trying to give my 37-year-old self a bit of a break and remind her that lacking that oomph to get started sometimes isn't laziness. And I truly think anyone watching this, anyone who wants to be better and improve their habits, can't really be lazy, can they? They're just looking for a little bit of motivation, so allow me.
I always think that the best choices that you can make are the ones that you're going to stick to. So whether or not that be like a really simple 2-step skincare routine instead of like an 8-step, half an hour, 45-minute ritual every single night and morning, because I just would not stick to that at all. Or if it means that you go for a 10-minute walk every single day instead of going to a gym class 3 times a week. One might seem like the clear, obvious winner. One might seem like, well, obviously I should choose to do this, but if you're not going to stick to it, then it's completely pointless. So the clear winner is the one that you're actually going to do. And this applies to everything. So, I mean, you could think of it in like weight loss terms. I know that this is something a lot of people struggle with. You kind of aim for a larger thing than you can commit to, or money saving or paying off your debt. You might think, well, I've worked this out. Worst thing you can do is sit with someone who's really good with money because they will never understand your struggle. You need to speak to someone who has already struggled with something for them to be able to help you overcome your own struggles. Someone who this comes naturally to is never really going to be able to help you through something that you find really difficult because they've never found it really difficult. I always think someone who was like a total savant, they could just literally play the piano from nowhere. They're never going to be able to teach someone else how to play piano because they never really had to learn in the same way that other people did. So don't look to people who are good at these things for advice. Look to people who have struggled and have overcome something of their own. So let's say it was money and you sat down with one of these people and they were like, well, it looks like you could save 20% of your monthly income quite easily if you just cut down on these things. If you currently are struggling with that and you save absolutely nothing at all, to go from nothing to 20%, it's going to feel really extreme. Start small. Don't go big on whatever it is that you're trying to change and burn out.
One of my very favourite lazy girl habits is audiobooks. You can work these into your life with 0 effort. Listen while you're cleaning, while you're driving, while in the bath, and whether you choose something for entertainment or education, it's a better use of that ear time than pretty much anything else you could be doing. I'm also a big fan of self-development books. I'm currently listening to The 12-Week Year, which we will talk about in a future video, but I finally got around to Atomic Habits in 2022, and it really changed the way that I looked at self-improvement. Atomic Habits is, in a nutshell, about changing your habits in small increments. Even if you only do 5 minutes of something each day to improve your life will be better next week than it was last week. If you're easily overwhelmed by change or tend to try and change everything all at once and give up in 3 days, this mindset might actually help you make more manageable changes to your day-to-day that you can actually keep up with. Additionally, it talks about habit stacking, which for us so-called lazy girls is a game changer. Take something that you do every single day and tag on a habit that you want to pick up again. Start small. We're talking like vitamins after brushing your teeth, doing some stretches while the kettle boils, laying out your clothes before you go to bed, and of course, listening to audiobooks while you do just about anything.
I swear I am not sponsored by Audible. I have never been sponsored by Audible. They have never contacted me. I'm just a super fan. Depending on your starting point, these incremental changes will look completely different for each individual person. But I'm really speaking to those of you who feel maxed out, whether that be actually maxed out, you really don't have time for things, or you just kind of like mentally overloaded, because sometimes that's just as debilitating. I'm speaking to you. I want to help you find ways to kind of motivate yourself to do something. It doesn't need to be, I have to do this big task. Like I've got one big goal and this is the only way. If you chip away at it, it can be so small, but if you move in the right direction, you're still going in that right direction, and it's better to go really slowly than not at all. I'm trying to talk about really realistic tactics. Maybe you want to get more steps in, but you feel like you just don't have any time to do that, especially for women. I mean, I'm sure a lot of men feel this way as well, but a lot of women, you could think, well, I'll get up early or I'll do it after work. In the summer, it's not quite so bad, but in the wintertime, it's quite difficult to find time before or after work to do something outdoors alone. You might not feel entirely safe to be walking in the dark. And so let's say that's true and you find it difficult to find the time to go for a walk. There are other ways of exercising. Exercise doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to be dressed a certain way to do exercise. Could you potentially swap out a journey that you do every single day and walk there instead of drive there? Or however it is that you get there right now. Could you potentially, this is so silly, but it's movement and it is adding to your day. Every single time you go down the stairs, could you just do another up and down? If you work in an office, have a walk around the car park at lunchtime, take a dance break while you put your stuff in the microwave. There's all number of things, all number of ways that you can incorporate movement into your day that doesn't look like exercise. I once did a 30-day challenge. I don't know if you're familiar with the 30-day shred, but I did that for a video. And because I committed to doing it, I was always gonna do it. But there were days where I got home from work and I just did the 30-day shred in my workwear and filmed some of those clips doing that as well, like full workwear, because that was a block. A barrier to entry for me is lots of times having to get dressed. And so if I have to go upstairs, put on leggings and a sports bra, whatever it is I'm going to wear to do that thing, that is a block. That is a barrier for me. If I can just do it with whatever I'm wearing, I'm more likely to do it on those days that I don't really feel like it. Stop thinking that the changes that you want to make have to look a certain way or have to look like they look for someone else, because often that is what is in your way. And if you start looking at it differently, maybe you'll find easier ways to implement things like movement. Like you go, oh, well, can't afford to go to the gym, or I can't find time to go to the gym. You don't necessarily have to go to the gym. Move your body more. There are loads of ways to do that you aren't really considering because you think it has to be a certain kind of way. That is, of course, just an example. Water is something that I struggle with. It sounds so stupid, but it's very out of sight, out of mind for me. And sometimes I'll go a week and be like, oh my God, I don't even think I've had a glass of water. And I realise that that's happened because I'm dehydrated, but I also just feel generally absolutely rubbish. And the first glass of water I have when I've had like a few days where I've gone, oh no, maybe gone a little bit longer than I should have, it's like nectar from the gods. I can literally feel my cells like sighing with relief as I drink that water. I'm absolutely not going to get one of those phone apps that tells me when to drink water, because if my phone buzzes and tells me to do something, I am 100% less likely to do it. I've got that weird rebellious streak in me that's like, no, you tell me to do something, even if I wanted to do it before, absolutely not. But what I do try to do is keep a tumbler of water wherever I am. I've got one by my bed. I've got one by where I sit in the living room. I've got one on my desk. I try and keep one filled all the time. Maybe it's not fresh from that day. I don't care. It's only water. It's probably from the previous day. It doesn't matter. If I've got it there, I'm way more likely to drink it. If I'm sitting at my desk upstairs and I'm like, oh, I could do with a glass of water, I've got to go downstairs. I've got to find the tumbler. I've got to fill it up. I've got to bring it back upstairs. I know for a lot of you that sounds ridiculous, but these are barriers. These are blocks in my mind, and you will have blocks between you and the things that you want to do, these habits that you want to implement in your life. Tiny little stupid blocks that are stopping you from doing things that are otherwise really simple, basic things in your life. That just eliminates that block for me, and it means that I am going to do that thing more often because it's there.
Okay, I'm going to talk about morning routines. Don't switch me off just yet. I'm flexible, I promise. As I've shared in recent vlogs, I've been getting up at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m. I'm actually recording these voiceovers at 5:25 on a Friday morning. And although this was originally a temporary plan to kickstart my circadian rhythm into action after doing a little bit of research on this, I've actually come to enjoy it. This past weekend, I let myself sleep in and I felt terrible. I was so exhausted on Sunday, but Monday morning at 6 a.m, having been awake for an hour, I was already more awake than I'd been since Friday. It could be argued that I was catching up on my sleep, but I truly believe that the more sleep I get, the more I need, and I never really feel rested.
I googled it because of course I did, and the first article that comes up is from Wired. This is what it says.
When you sleep too much, you're throwing off your biological clock, and it starts telling your cells a different story than what they're actually experiencing, inducing a sense of fatigue. You might be crawling out of bed at 11 a.m, but your cells started using their energy cycle at 7. This is similar to how jet lag works. So although we know that too little sleep is bad for you, it seems like too much is also. Best practice is going to be to keep a similar sleep pattern throughout the week. But I think really the situation is that I'm just getting old. I want to eat dinner at 6, I want to be in bed for 9, and I want to be up at 5.
I don't really go to bed at 9. That's definitely something I need to work on. I'm never going to go to bed at 9. I'm kind of still on my like 11, maybe even 12 p.m. a.m. technically routine. Yeah, I'm not going to bed at 12 midday. Still super, super late nights, and that's something I need to work on if I'm going to continually get up at 5 a.m, which is just making such a huge difference to my life, honest to God. I've never felt so energized as when I get up super early in the morning. It makes no sense to me, and yet I suppose it does. From the research, I suppose it does. My quality of sleep has never been better. The minute my head hits the pillow, I'm like asleep. And I used to lay awake for ages, and I was so resentful of my husband, who would be like immediately asleep. And I was like, oh, I can't switch off my mind. And now, presumably because I'm so tired by the time I go to bed, I'm just asleep.
Listen, I know that you probably clicked on this video for a list of habits. You're probably really annoyed with me right now. You were looking for, here are like 10 things that you should try. But as I said in my self-care myth video, we all need totally different things. A habit that will move me towards the person that I want to be, or the life that I want to live, could push you in the wrong direction entirely.
I'm not really here to tell you to drink more water and get up early. I just want you to look at things differently. Are you putting things in your path because you don't want to get out of your comfort zone? Or do you really just not want to do the thing? If you can't find joy in the journey to get to wherever it is you're going to go, if you're forcing yourself, you're never going to keep that up. That really goes for everything. You need to find your individual motivation to do whatever it is you need to do. Maybe that's eating better makes you actually feel better, rather than eating better is a means to losing weight, or that you are saving money for something specific rather than saving for a rainy day. I will never ever be someone who can save for a rainy day. My husband, it gives him joy to save money and have money in the bank. We have separate finances. We share everything straight down the middle in terms of like our family finances, 50% towards absolutely everything. But I have my money, he has his money, and we manage it very, very differently. I cannot save just to save. It's just, I need a goal. If I'm saving for something specific, then I can do it. I can find excitement in that, but I cannot save for nothing. I could not implement any kind of habit just because. You know, if someone says, oh, you should do this, it's really good for you, I'm like, but why? That's not enough. There needs to be a purpose bigger than this is probably a good thing to do. If you're just someone who has great discipline, just kind of consider the things that you do day to day, how much of it is, like for my husband, who genuinely finds joy in building up savings. He enjoys that. It makes him feel good. How much of what you do is actually that? Because, you know, everyone's minds are different, everyone's brains are different. We all get fun from weird different things. Maybe you really enjoy cooking, and so you really enjoy healthy eating because you like to try different things and you like to cook things from fresh. That's completely different than someone who is forcing themselves to cook and forcing themselves to eat healthily because they want to lose weight. What is your purpose for doing that stuff? Some of you will just like fall into some really naturally good habits because of stuff that you enjoy. Some of you will be super, super disciplined, and it's not necessarily that you're having that much fun. You just can force yourself, and you can keep yourself disciplined, and you can keep yourself on track. Those of you who are doing that, how much joy are you getting from it? Are you living and disciplining yourself to do these things for a future date, for a future self, for a whatever? You know, like people who are absolutely hell-bent on, we will pay off our mortgage in as little time as possible. How much fun are you having along the way? Like, that sounds great. That sounds like a fantastic plan, as long as you are enjoying the journey. Because I think sometimes we get bogged down in, whether it comes naturally to you or not to do the stuff, we get bogged down in having to do the thing to get us to a certain place, and ignoring the fact that we're supposed to be living a life in the meantime and enjoying this life that we're living. So if I can't find excitement in something, it is just within my nature that I cannot keep up with it. For some people, you can discipline yourself to do things that you don't really enjoy because you know that eventually that will come to fruition and that will be a benefit to that. But is there a way to do that in a more pleasurable or fun way if it's not fun for you already? I hope that I'm explaining myself correctly. I'm just trying to think from all the different perspectives. I know how I feel. I know people who are like, I genuinely get joy from these things. And then I feel like there's a middle group of people who can force themselves to do it. And it maybe gives them like a sense of accomplishment to get those things done. But maybe you could like ease off a little bit and allow yourself to have a little bit more fun if you're not having that much fun in the disciplined activities. Really, the key message is we're living every day, not just on those days that we're counting down to. So what can we do to make the things that we have to do feel like less of a chore, if that's how it's feeling for us? I think that whatever we can do to find the excitement, the fun, the whatever, it's not only going to help us move forward that much faster because we're enjoying the process, but our day-to-day is going to feel less like we're suffering through something to get to the end prize. I personally enjoy challenging myself to do things. Obviously it helps for me to share things on the internet because that I feel like I'm holding myself accountable a little bit. Sometimes I'll like do a challenge where I say, right, I'm going to do this for a certain amount of time, and it's interesting to share the results with you guys, and again, it keeps me on task. But there's always going to be something for everyone. Maybe you treat yourself to something, although I really don't like that, you know, we have to do this every day for a week and then I get this. I really want to find a way to enjoy the every day for a week, not just the this, you know? Hopefully this has motivated you somewhat, but I have ended on somewhat of a question. So I'm interested to see if you've already mastered this, and if you have got habits that you think are just essential to your life, could not live without them, let us know what they are, because maybe we need to try and implement them too. If you have stayed this long, you are very much my people. So stick around, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.